So I welcome you all for the Gita Sandesh program. So we'll do Kirtan for a few minutes and then get started. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One last time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, शील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. We'll do the Mangalacharana. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnanandanashalakaya Chakshurulmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Sapsajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langahete girim tat yat krupa tamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So once again, I welcome you all for today's course on Gita, Bhagavad Gita, as part of the Gita Sandesh. We are in the chapter 7, which is the Bhakti segment out of the 3 segments that we are talking about. The first 6 chapters are the karma part of it, and the second 6 chapters, that is 6 to 12, are the Bhakti part of it, and the last 6 chapters are the Jnana part of it. So we are in a very important section, very vital section called the Bhakti section, and here this particular section is compared to a treasure box. A treasure box where you put all your gold ornaments, very valuable things, diamonds, etc. And there is an outer covering of that box and a lower frame also. So inside that you put your jewels. So similarly, this in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has put this important jewel, that is bhakti, in between, or it is protected by karma and jnana. Bhakti is protected by karma and jnana in 2 sides, and that's how it is there. It is also compared with a king when he goes with an entourage of his men. So there is a first convoy that goes in the front, and there is in the end there is also a convoy. In between, the king is there and he is very much protected. So similarly, bhakti is protected with these 2 other segments called karma and jnana. So what did we discuss in the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita is that the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul, capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different yoga processes. That could be karma, jnana, etc. So at the end of the 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind, steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, in Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of yoga. You have seen that. So the acronym for, can somebody remember the acronym for the previous chapter? What was the acronym for the previous chapter? Anybody can put it on the chat. Okay, easy. And what does this stand for? E stands for what? A, S, and Y. Very difficult, huh? Okay. Enemy or friend, that is mind. Very nice. What else? A stands for accept or reject. S stands for, yes, please. No idea. Okay. Ashtanga yoga, fantastic. Okay. Last Y stands for yogi, right? So he's Krishna in the previous chapter said that become a yogi. Yogi and the topmost yogi is the one who remembers me all the time. Satatam, he is only remembering me, and that is the topmost yogi. He said, yeah. So now. Yes, yes stands for success or failure, where what happens to the so someone who has not perfected in this process. So what will happen? So he said, what will happen is that this is going to be a spiritual bank account is there. It gets always updated, and you will be getting that kind of a life such that you can propagate or you can continue your spiritual journey from where you left off in your previous life. That's what he told. Okay. Okay, so thank you. So that's what we have seen in the last chapter, where see, the logically Krishna is not taking these chapters as silos, because this is the conversation, real conversation that has happened, and it is not like somebody writing some books. So this is the conversation. So there is a logically how Krishna is connecting the previous chapter to this chapter, you see. So in the end of the sixth chapter, it has been clearly stated that the study concentration of mind upon Krishna, in other words, Krishna consciousness is the highest form of yoga. So that manmana mana bhakto. So basically, you basically focus your mind on me. Focus your mind on me. That's what he's saying. So that is where he is now connecting to the rest of the chapter. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. So the only way you can know about Krishna is to concentrate your mind. Mind makes many things, and if you can focus your mind, it will become your friend or it can become your enemy. So if you make your mind your friend, that is where the crux is. And how do we make this mind your friend is getting elaborated, and that's where Krishna is going to talk about the steps in bhakti. What are the steps that you need to take such that you can focus your mind and your mind is occupied with Krishna, and that's what is Krishna consciousness is. If you ask what is the difference between one devotee to another devotee, it is the amount of remembering Krishna in per se per day, how much time you are able to remember Krishna. Second thing is that are you able to remember Krishna all the time, and did you not forget Krishna anytime? So these are some of the things that can help you to find out where you are. It is not for a competitiveness, but it is to self-evaluate and move further in your spiritual progress. Okay, so that is where we have seen that Krishna is linking the previous chapter to this chapter. Now, few more things before we go. Lot of times we come across these words such as what is that Bhakti Yogi, not per se Bhakti Yogi, Bhakti Yoga and Bhakti Yogi is one of the same, but more we will come across Karma Yogi, Gnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi. So what are these and how is that it is related to whatever we are discussing is one quick discussion we wanted to make. So can somebody tell me what does this Karma Yogi means? Is it so is Karma Yogi the ultimate, and what is the relation between Karma Yoga and Gnana Yogi, and is there any relationship with Gnana Yogi and Ashtanga Yogi, and finally the Bhakti Yogi or Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yogi and Bhakti Yoga is one and the same, but anyways, so let's discuss very quickly what does this mean. So basically these yogis are, when you see the rungs in the yoga ladder, these are different stages in the self-realization state. So, but people call themselves as karma yogi, jnana yogi, ashtanga yogi. That means they have stopped going further in that yoga ladder. Now, when you call somebody as a karma yogi, that means you are doing your activities without fruitive results. So that is where you are calling yourself as karma yogi. But now slowly what happens is that when a karma yogi increases in knowledge and renunciation, he will come under the platform of jnana yogi. That means he will come into the jnana yoga part of it. But karma yoga, jnana yoga are kind of related. When you kind of increase your karma yoga, that means doing your activities without fruitive results, and increasing knowledge and renunciation. Knowledge about what? Knowledge about the self-realization process or about Krishna, etc. When you increase that, that's where you are coming under the karma jnana yogis. You can be called as jnana yogi. But again, if you are stopping there, you are just jnana yogi. That's all. But when you go next level, that is what is discussed. When the jnana yoga increases in meditation onto the supreme soul by different physical processes of mind, then you are going at a ashtanga yogi level. That means you are utilizing your mind to focus on Krishna, and that is where you are going, taking the jnana yogi level to the next level, which is what is ashtanga yogi level. Okay. Now, the last part is basically when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga, comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, it is called Bhakti Yogi. See, what happens is that this Ashtanga Yogi, his realization is limited at the Paramatma level only. The 400 Vishnu form which is there, Paramatma within your heart. But he has not gone to the Bhagavan level. That's what we are going to see. So, now Krishna is going to give you that knowledge and the process by which you can take whatever is your understanding from wherever you are. Maybe you are at a karma yogi level or a jnana yogi level or ashtanga yogi level. You can go to the bhakti yogi level or bhakti yoga. Okay. Now you may ask a question. Am I supposed to follow this whatever ladder you are saying? First I have to be a karma yogi, then a jnana yogi, then an ashtanga yogi, then only bhakti. Are we supposed to follow that or not required? Anybody can put it on the chat. Are we supposed to follow it? Is that the only way that you can go step by step, or is there any other way? No. Yeah, not required. Then how can we go? So what's the other way around then? Bhakti yogi. Okay, directly you can go to bhakti yogi. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Now, this is the beauty about it. See, this is where a lot of confusion comes to the people and they are not able to follow Bhagavad Gita properly. Or whenever you read Bhagavad Gita, you are confused. Because Krishna is saying at one point of time, become a karma yogi. And that's what Arjuna is also facing the problem. Because he said, become a karma yogi, become a jnana yogi, because beyond next level to karma yogi is jnana yogi. Because a jnana yogi is also a karma yogi, but only thing is that he's increased in knowledge and renunciation, he becomes a jnana yogi. So now this seems to be like sequential process and you have to follow it. Now the example given by Srila Prabhupada is that suppose you wanted to go to a 80th floor in a building which is a huge building which has got 80 floors, and you wanted to go to the 80th floor. Then what do you do? So there are two ways. One is that they will always have a staircase. You can take the staircase and you can go step by step, and then reach the 80th floor. The second way is that use a lift which doesn't go through the staircase process. Directly it will take you to the 80th floor. So Bhakti Yoga, that's the beauty about Bhakti Yoga, is that you can also directly take to Bhakti Yoga process. There is no need for you to go through all these various other yoga steps that are there, which is what is described so far: karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, and that one. So that's the beauty about it. Yeah, but again, if you wanted to follow that, that is also there. But so what is the problem with going with that versus this? And what's the advantage going with this process versus that process? Can somebody tell anything where you can think of what is this bhakti yoga process, which is what it is there, where you can directly go to the 80th floor, and this one you have to go step by step. Which do you think is feasible, the first one or the second one? So karma yogi to bhakti yogi is feasible. Okay, second one, yes. See, some of the things you always know that when you wanted to take a lift, instead of staircase, first of all, it is easy process. It is easy, quick also, and there is not much of a risk. So what is the risk involved in this process is that whenever you are going through this sequential process, first of all, it takes lot of time, because to get the ultimate happiness, Satchidananda, you have to go through a rigorous process, and from day one you will not experience that. Only you once you realize it, then only you will be able to experience that happiness. But unlike that, bhakti yoga, from day one you will be able to get in contact with Krishna. There you are, see, in Ashtanga yoga, when are you getting contact with the Paramatma? Only in the Samadhi stage or in the Dhyana stage, right? In the Dhyana stage, when you are doing, that means you have to, how many lifetimes or how much time you have to spend to get to that perfection level and to enjoy or to get that bliss. Because only when you get in contact with Krishna, then only you will be able to experience that. Now, this is the beauty about bhakti yoga, that you will be able to experience whatever you are going to experience from day one. That Satchidananda you will be able to experience from day one when you are in the bhakti yoga process. And what is that bhakti yoga process? That is what Krishna is going to tell you in the first sloka itself. Just see the beauty about Krishna. In the first sloka of 7.1, the entire sequence, entire process of bhakti yoga is being given. So in one way, if you ask me, which is that sloka which talks about bhakti process and how I should go about it, it's just 7.1. First sloka, Krishna gives everything about bhakti. So that's the super, that's the greatness of Krishna. Okay. Any doubts so far? Anybody has? And it is joyfully performed. Yes, because when you do Ashtanga yoga and all these other processes, you are really cursing yourself, sitting for so much time and thinking, and mind is bothering you. This here, it is a very joyfully performed process, bhakti yoga. Okay. Now let me try to give you the entire Bhagavad Gita in a nutshell. I've just written few things. Just I wanted to. Okay. So if you can see, this is very important chapter. I will request all of you to. I know I have been saying that these other chapters also very important, etc. But the topmost of all is the Bhakti Yoga. So, and Krishna is starting his journey for and taking us to that Bhakti process. So it's very important for us. So if you see here, how is it connected to the previous chapter? The best yogi, one who serves and thinks of Krishna. So that's where we talked about the best yogi or the topmost yogi, and in the end he talked about that. And now he's connecting how to attain such constant remembrance of Krishna. How I can remember Krishna all the time. Manmanam manabhakto. Madhyajimam namaskuru. So he's saying that how is that you can remember Krishna all the time? Because when you remember Krishna all the time, you are in contact with Krishna, so you are peaceful, you are blissful, and you are able to give the best out of you. Because you are getting in contact with Krishna, who is an embodiment of everything. So that's the beauty about it. And whether it is your professional life, family life, or your financial life, or social life, or any other life, any other thing, aspect of yourself, you wanted to find out how you can perfect it. If you can be in contact with the perfect person, you get all the characteristics of that. So you will become perfect in whatever sphere you are talking about, right? So if you take Krishna, he's a perfect person, and there is not a single flaw in him, because he is the source of everything. Now we are in touch with him. Obviously, yesterday they were asking a question, and we gave an example of a fire and the iron. Iron has no characteristic of fire, but when you get in contact with the fire, it gets all the characteristics of the fire. Similarly, right now we are Jada Pardarth. We are not having any of that spiritual qualities. We have it, but it is like a fire which is there very dormant, and it is covered by so much of other things, and only little bit of smoke is coming for some of us. Only little bit of smoke is coming. So let us all pray to Lord Krishna that we get this bhakti in our life. A little spark of bhakti, if it comes also, it will ignite and it will take us to the next level. So before we go there, let me also tell you what is this bhakti process actually, and how is it compared to. See, you have seen that a cat, when you see a cat and a kitten, so, and you see a monkey and a monkey's a child. How does the monkey's child catch? If you suppose his mother wants to go somewhere and it wants to take the baby also along with her, so how does she do that? She asks the child monkey to catch hold of the belly of the parent monkey, and then it will jump from one branch to another branch, and the child is really frightened at sometimes, because when the monkey is jumping from one branch to another branch and it's in the air and in the top of the big trees, and it is jumping, and the baby child is catching so firmly, and so that on its own endeavor it is depending that if I leave my hands I will fall down. So it is so frightened. So Markata Marga, Marjana Marga. So there are two marks in this particular process that we are talking about. See, the Markata Marga is basically one of the Markata Marga, Markata and Marjana. I think Marjana is cat, Markata is the the monkey. The cat, when he wants to catch its kitten, how does it catch and takes it to the next some other place? Can somebody get to see that? In the mouth. Basically, it takes the kitten, catches with its teeth or in the mouth, and then takes it to the next one. So the kitten, what it is doing? It is just depending upon the mother and nicely going. So it is not real. And if it wants to call for her mother, what does the kitten do? It just says that meow, meow, and the mother monkey gets to know that my kid wants me, so it will come. So this mark, which is what is mentioned here, the process of bhakti is this the cat process, where you as a child are calling your mother cat, and the mother cat is coming and picking you up and taking you to your destination. So that is what is the beauty about the bhakti mark. The mark, the other mark which you talked about, the monkey, marjana mark or markata. I'm a little confused about what is what. Markata means monkey, I think. So this markata mark, they assume that the markata mark is monkey mark. So the markata mark is basically where you have to put all your endeavor. whether it is karma yogi, jnana yogi, ashtanga yogi, or whatever is this process, you have to put a lot of effort, and you are not depending upon guru, sadhu and shastra so much. Yes, you are following, but finally you are not depending upon the mercy of Krishna. Here in the marjana mark, which is the cat mark, the kitten is depending totally on Krishna. And so totally on Krishna meaning you're primarily for your reaching the destination, you are leaving it to Krishna. Krishna, it's up to you now. So they say that the devotees are fearless, and the kitten is also fearless, because when it is the mother is going to take care nicely, why I should bother? And that is what Arjuna did. Arjuna has taken a vow that tomorrow morning I will kill the whom we said yesterday. I forgot again. Sorry, my memory is. Yesterday we saw that.
Jayadratha Prabhu.
Jayadratha. Thank you, Prabhu. I don't know why. So Jayadratha he wanted to kill, and Arjuna was sleeping very peacefully. But tomorrow morning he has to raise the war, and he's peacefully sleeping. Then Krishna came and asked, "How you made such a big vow and you are just sleeping peacefully? How is that?" Then Arjuna said, "See, when you are there, when I am dependent upon you, why should I worry?" So he was just not worried. Not that he will not do his action, but point is that worry doesn't really take you. Depend upon Krishna, automatically your worry will go. All these artificial ways of getting rid of tension, getting rid of trying to see if I can get happiness, peace, and all this is only temporary process, and it will not give you complete happiness and complete solution. The only solution to become fearless, to become good at whatever you are doing, is to depend upon Krishna and be in the bhakti mark. Okay, so oh wow. So, now we will take up this first sloka, very important sloka. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Ashakta Manah Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha Ashamshayam Samagramam Yata Gnashasi Tatshunu. So, is anybody ready to read this sloka? Can you raise your hands? You can try. There is nothing wrong. Anybody would like to do that? Please raise your hands. Yeah, Supriya Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I audible?
Correct.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Saktamanav Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashrayah Asamshayam Samagrammam Yatha Gnasyasi Tachrunu.
Very nice, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very happy that you could read so nicely. Any other devotee, please? One or two other devotees, please. See, yeah, go ahead. Usha Mataji, you wanted to? Go ahead, Mataji. Yeah. Kushbu Mataji, you wanted to try? No, try what is there. Yeah, try.
Bhagavan Vacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashrayah Asamshayam Samagrammam Yata Gnasyasi Tachrunu.
Kushbu Mataji, you can.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asamshayam Samagrammam Yatha Gnasyasi Takshunu.
Yes, very good.
Okay, right. So see, one of the things is that in this marg, whatever we are taking, the bhakti marg, we don't fear for anything. Whether it is reading, whether it is taking up any seva, we just do it for not for our satisfaction. It is for the satisfaction of the Lord. And anything that you are connecting with Krishna, you don't have to fear. See, I'll tell you what, you might have seen me. I am not perfect in so many things. I myself cannot read lot many slokas, and the knowledge that I have is also not complete. But what I have decided, not based on my decision, what acharyas say and what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is that you become fearless and do it as a service and dovetail it with me. Don't do it for your own selfish interest. Do it that you are connecting with me. So initially it might look like you are selfish, that you wanted to become little popular by knowing certain slokas. Doesn't matter. When you are connecting with Krishna, Krishna takes the responsibility of making you perfect, getting you all the characteristics what you want. It is more Krishna's responsibility, not yours. So that is how we should be. Not that whether what other person thinks. No. So that is what it is. So I am really happy that some of you are taking up this process, because you know what, end of the day, this human form of life is very rare, and if you don't use it, you are a what is that, miserly person. So what is the Sanskrit word given for miserly person? That somebody remember? Sanskrit word for miserly person. Nobody remembers? 2.7 verse. Okay, so you have to really revise. Okay, Kripana. Yeah, it starts with 2.7. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prichyami tvam dharma sammuda cheta. So basically, that Kripana nature is still there with us every time. We are just having that mentality only, Kripana nature. So we have to, if you wanted to be in the bhakti process, first of all, understand first that you are having these characteristics and have a mental, theoretical understanding at least that I have to leave this Kripana nature and become a Brahmana. Brahmana means not by birth like that. Brahmana means somebody who is giving everything and is depending upon Krishna. So that is what Brahmana means. So that is where we need to go. And this particular sloka is very important, and we will discuss this. Okay. Once again, one last Mataji or Prabhuji who wanted to read this sloka. Anybody for that matter. Ashok Prabhu, can you do it? You are good at answering. So I wanted you to also. And see, you know what? Somebody was asking me yesterday also, how can we read these slokas? Pretty simple. If you see, the good thing is that Srila Prabhupada has already did the Sandhi Vichhed and given it to us. Sri Bhagavan, wherever there is a drag on the top, you just have to drag it. Sri, I'm not saying Sri, I'm saying Sri, because there is a dash. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya A. He said, see, it's there A. Maya Asakta Manah Partha. It is not Partha. It's you drag a little bit. Maya Asakta Manah Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha. Yeah, when H down dot is there, ha, you have to say Mad Ashrayaha. Ashamshayam Samagramam. So it's Mam. Ashamshayam Samagramam Yata Gnashasi Tachunu. So when you practice this, right, see the beauty about this Sanskrit slokas, these words have come from where? From the lotus mouth of Lord Shri Krishna. So when something comes from the lotus mouth of Lord Shri Krishna, just imagine how much potency is there in just those words itself. So when you are taking it, that potency is coming to you. So that qualities are coming to you. and you are able to, just by reciting these slokas itself, you will become a bhakta. But on and about, if you can understand what is this sloka and what is the meaning, that is at the next level. The third thing is that how I can apply in my life this sloka, what Krishna is saying. So 3 levels that we are talking about. So all 3, if you can practice, nothing like it, you will be one of the leaders. Leaders meaning you will become a role model, exemplary. We have seen that in the past. So you will become an exemplary, not for boosting yourself, saying and getting a false pompous nature, but because that is your true nature. You will be able to experience that bliss. Okay, so now what is the meaning of this? Can somebody read this translation for me? Anybody? Ashok Prabhu, Nilesh Prabhu, Gangadhar Prabhu? Anybody
Hare
can?
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, Kushkumar.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Lord said, Mai to me, Asakta Mana, mind attached. Partha, O son of Partha. Yogam, self-realization. Yunjan, practicing. Mat Ashraya, in consciousness of me, Krishna consciousness. Asamsayam, without doubt. Samagram, completely. Mam, me. Yatha, how. Nasyasi, you know how. You can know. That Shrinu, try to hear.
Read the translation also.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Now hear, O son of Pratha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt.
Okay, very nice. See, first of all, he has addressed here Arjuna as Pritha. So everything, as yesterday I was asked, why Arjuna is called Dhananjaya. Here, Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Pritha. Pritha actually comes from his mother. Who is his mother? Kunti. And Kunti, other name is what is the kingdom from where she has come is also associated with that name. No, that is Kunti, and Pritha, there is another meaning. Okay, so anyways, the point is that he is trying to relate that you are the son of Kunti, who is a very pious lady, and she doesn't want you to just leave this battlefield and go, and you have to fight. And because before anybody said just let's go for peace and get some 5 villages, the first person who has objected was Kunti. So why? Because Kunti doesn't want her children to be like Napunsaka. They wanted to, they are warriors, they have to fight for their rights. So that is the kind of this thing. See, it also says that how women were in those times. Women were very strong. What kind of situations did Kunti has gone through? You can't even imagine. She lost or she gave baby when she was like a young girl. She didn't get married, but she somehow managed to send that baby out, and that's where you see that Karna was born. And again, after marriage, in a very short period of time after marriage was done, her husband just left the body. She has to depend upon some other family members so that they can be taken care of, because no husband is there. And 5 children she has to. And Madri, who was her the other wife of Pandu, she also left her. And the other 2 children also she has to take care. Now, point what we are trying to say is that the women in those times, they were very strong. And because they were strong for one reason, They were strong because they depended upon Krishna. Whether it is Kunti Maharani, you can read the prayers of Kunti in the Bhagavatam, that comes as a small book also, prayers of Kunti Maharani. How much devoted she was with Krishna. Same with Draupadi. Draupadi was, the other name for Draupadi was Krishni. She was called Krishni because she was so dear to Krishna, she was called Krishni. So that is the Mahabharata, you can see these characters, and especially the lady characters. So they were like role models. And so yeah, now let's come back to this particular sloka. And as I mentioned, here in this particular sloka, Krishna is telling everything are the steps for your bhakti process. And what are the steps? You can see here. See, the first thing, if you wanted to read this sloka, whatever sloka which was here, because of the Sanskrit grammar reasons, this has been written this way: Maya asakta mana partha yogam yuncham madashrayah asamshayam samagramam yata jnashyasi takshunum. And Acharya say that if you, the process, Bhakti Yoga process starts from the lower part, which is what you need to also follow. So if you see that Takshunu, if you reverse this particular verse, you will get the process, Bhakti Yoga process. First and foremost thing what you need to do is this Takshunu. Hear about Lord Krishna. First and foremost thing. Suppose somebody was asking me, how do I get rid of this fear that I have, that any fear for that matter, whether I this and that, and how do I really become that kind of a bhakti yogi? So first and foremost thing, hear about Lord Krishna. You know, in the Mahabharata or in Bhagavatam actually, you see that Rukmini was the sister of Rukmi. Rukmi was his brother actually, and Bhishmaka, I think, is his father of Rukmini and Rukmi, both were siblings. Rukmini was supposed to get married to this Shishupala. Shishupala was very close to Rukmi. Rukmi means that he's her brother. And this Shishupala was also very close to Jarasandha. And all these demoniac kind of people. And now Rukmini heard from Narad Muni and other Munis and other sages about Krishna. Heard about Krishna. She has not seen Krishna anytime. Okay. And so this place is somewhere in Vidarbha, very close to Dwaraka only. Vidarbha, you know that when you go in the to Delhi, you will find all these places nearby, Vidarbha. So when just by hearing about Krishna, she developed attachment and she has decided that I will marry only Krishna, if not nobody. She has decided, and she sent one letter to Krishna by saying that please come and elope me from here. So now, just because Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala, and just by hearing that Rukmini wanted to marry him, he came with he single-handedly just came. He immediately took her away in front of all these other kings, and he married Rukmini. So now, what is the point here? The point is that Rukmini heard about Krishna and developed that love towards him. So hearing is very important. And we also talked about the importance of hearing. If you see Prahalad Maharaj, when he was in the womb of Kayadu, you know who is Kayadu? Kayadu was the mother of Prahalad Maharaj. And when he was in the womb, he heard from Narad Muni about all this. And that's where he developed the interest and the bhakti has come to him like that. Okay, so we will complete this particular sloka at least today. Now, the first and foremost thing is that you need to hear about Lord Krishna, and that's what if you wanted to continue in this bhakti marg, what you need to also is that shrunu, hear about Krishna. The second thing is that what will happen when you hear about Krishna, the samagra mam, gain knowledge which will change your consciousness. So how is this possible that my consciousness can change? When you start listening, hearing about Krishna, then samagra mam, you will get complete knowledge about Krishna, and your consciousness will also be changed, and your desires will now become spiritualized. Making sense to all of you? Okay, once you do hearing, and you are also getting the complete knowledge now because you are hearing, and then what will happen is that or what you should do, because this is the process, the steps that are given. Some asamsayam, you will become free from all the doubts. You have so many doubts. How is this really possible that when I take the holy name of chanting, how will it really do Cheto Darpana Marjanam? How will it remove all my bad things in my life? All the sinful desires that I have, how it is going to vanish? All these doubts, whatever you have, any doubt for that matter, asamshayam, you will become free from all the doubts. When you do hearing, when you do that, complete knowledge you will be able to gain by hearing, and just not normal knowledge. You will be gaining knowledge which will change your consciousness also, and all your doubts will be removed. And mad ashrayaha, then you wanted to take the shelter of Krishna. Mad ashrayaha, wants to take the shelter. And the next thing is that yogam yunjan, practicing the yoga process called bhakti yoga is what will start in your life. Yogam yunjan. And maya asakta manaha, mind attached to Krishna. This is where the mind is coming in the fag end. So not that immediately you will be able to, your mind will be just getting attached to Krishna. When you do all this, and this process is how to develop attachment for Lord Krishna for a process of hearing. So it starts with hearing, and finally your mind will be attached to Krishna, and that is what Krishna is saying. Once your mind is attached to me, and finally you will reach my destination, Goloka. And that is what is getting elaborated down the line. Any other questions anybody has? I know I have not covered a lot. Probably tomorrow I will complete this chapter. Any questions, any concerns anybody has? And one last thing about this particular sloka is that in our Navavidhi Bhakti Marg also 9 process of devotional service is also mentioned. Here there is 6 steps that are mentioned in the previous sloka. Here also it also starts with the first one is Shravanam only. Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Dasyare Pujana Sakhi Jana Atmani Vedana Govinda Dasa Abhilashare. Here also in the Navavidhi Bhakti Marg, it starts with Shravana only. So that's the beauty about this entire thing. So I would like to take up some questions if you have any. Raghunath Puri Prabhu, anything on the chat?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So as of now, there is no question in the chat. Okay, so yesterday there were 2 questions, Prabhuji. So, like, Mataji, actually, Megha Shukla Mataji had requested that Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, actually, I recently came across one weird thing that when, like a devotee and a non-devotee, worshipping of Ekadasi when it is split on 2 days. what we should be following.
Worshipping on?
Ekadasi, Prabhuji. Ekadasi.
Worshipping on Ekadasi.
Worship means Ekadasi, fasting on Ekadasi, when it is split on 2 days, when we should be doing it.
Prabhuji, why we are asking same questions? Yesterday we discussed this, right? Yesterday we discussed this because Ekadashi splits in 2 days because it depends upon the location. Because this is based on the planetary movement, the location wise. So Ekadashi is there, start and end. Yeah. So please make note of it, Prabhu. Yesterday we discussed this. Yeah. So any other question, Prabhu? No? Okay. So Pavan Kumar Prabhu, you had some question yesterday. Shall we take it up? You can unmute him, Prabhu. Just unmute everybody. Unmute in the sense, just let them unmute themselves.
Yeah, Prabhuji, there is a question from Kushbu Mataji. Prabhuji, why do we chant 108 times? What is the importance number of 108?
Okay, so these numbers have got significance. We'll discuss about that. Krishna likes these numbers in so many ways. So we'll discuss that. But again, we need to focus on essentials. Yeah, getting to know that is good. Just see that Krishna likes that number. So that's one way you can just take it.
Okay, Prabhuji. One Prabhuji, yeah, as you requested yesterday, Pavan Kumar Brahmuri Prabhu has requested, if we cannot reach heights in this lifetime, what shall we do, Prabhuji?
Okay, Pavan Kumar Prabhu, you can go ahead, you can ask.
Okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, good morning, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in my college, all faculties have an ego, Guruji. Every single reason they are trying to spar with over each other. How can I exit from that atmosphere? And I want to add one more thing to you, Prabhuji. All are Hindus, but converted into Christian. They all abuses on Hindu community also, Guruji. How can I don't know how can I to react with that person.
Okay.
Please say to me.
So Prabhuji, first of all, let's understand one thing. Mentally also, don't have any animosity against anybody. One, and it takes time for all of us. Sometimes we had made some preconceived notions. So one thing is that all other religions are doing what they are doing based on their leaders, what they have told them to do. And basically, they are also following certain scriptures which are authentic only. But while they execute that, they might be going against a few people and hampering our this thing. So how do you take care of that? First of all, you need to see to it that you are safe there. Safe in the sense physically you are not getting any hurt or anything because of whatever hindrance that they are posing. If it is not, then focus on your essentials. What is that you wanted to do in your life? You wanted to become a Krishna's devotees. So put all your energy there rather than in the other one. Okay. So how do you tackle it? That situation, it all depends upon the kind of situation you are in. If it is going beyond a certain range where your physical security itself is at stake, then you have to take the help of a police or something and make a complaint, and or to your higher authorities in your college somewhere. Don't be afraid to do that. End of the day, you need to take care of your security. That's one thing. And next thing is that I would say that take up to this Krishna consciousness process and divert your mind. If your intention is that, see, Hinduism is at risk now because these people are making their own plans to spread their religion. If that is what you are thinking, then that is totally different. Is that what your thinking is?
What, Prabhuji? Can't understand.
No. Is your thinking that I am a Hindu, I need to spread Hinduism, those people are Christians or some other religion and they are spreading that, and I am really not comfortable that other religions are going to spread here? Is that how you are feeling?
Yes, Prabhuji. I want to also do same thing like that. I want
You wanted to
my
spread
community.
Hinduism.
Yes, Prabhu.
See, Prabhuji, if you see, Srila Prabhupada, when he went to West and he conquered the hearts of the people, not by saying that Christianity is wrong, Bible is wrong, Quran is wrong. He never said that. In fact, it is not true also. All these are authentic scriptures. Okay, you cannot win the people with hatred. So you, for that matter, having a feeling that I should spread Hinduism is in one way correct, but at the same time not correct, because ours is a Vedic culture, and this Vedic culture means it is not Hinduism. Hindu, the word Hindu came, and this was given to us by some outsiders. There is no word called Hindu in any of our literature. Any Shastra, you will not find the word Hindu. The people who are living the other side of Sindhu River, which is there in the border of Pakistan now, that Sindhu River, were called Hindus because they were not able to pronounce us properly, so they called us as Hindus. But actually ours is a Vedic culture, and this Vedic culture, whether it is Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, all this is universal. Everybody should be able to accept it, and that's where ISKCON has come into action, where it is internationally people are following. And it is not depending upon whether you belong to this religion, this sect, this birth, or this nation. Nothing. Everybody is taking up. So I think you need to change your mindset and attitude, and for that to happen, it takes time. But you need to start reading and hearing. Hearing is the most important thing. Just to take up to this Bhagavad Gita reading, slowly our consciousness will change. They will also become your friends. In fact, that's how we need to see things. Equal vision we should have. The previous, we have seen that. So equal vision we should develop, Prabhu. So it takes time, but again, that's the short answer I could give, whatever is based on my limited knowledge that I have. So, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, Vamsi Krishna Prabhu's question is, why do we raise our hands while doing kirtan?
Why does a thief, when he sees the policeman, he raises his hands? Why? Yeah, Vamsi Krishna Prabhu, you tell me. Why does he raise his hands? You got the answer. Right. So basically, hands up, when he says, that means to say that you are supposed to surrender and the thief surrenders. When you wanted to surrender, you raise your hands. When you do kirtan, you raise your hands because you are surrendering to the Supreme Lord through the process of kirtana. Ultimately, that is the stage we wanted to all go. Mada Ashrayaha. Madashraya in this sloka, see, nothing is gone beyond this sloka actually. This 6 steps which you see, Madashraya, you take the shelter of Krishna. So when you wanted to take the shelter of Krishna, obviously surrendering is the way you wanted to, that is possible. So that practically also we wanted to exhibit that, and it comes naturally when you do it. Okay. Yeah, next question, Prabhu. Yeah, welcoming the Lord's mercy in our hearts also, that is also correct. So when you surrender only, as we discussed, this mark which you are following is contrary to the other mark. This bhakti mark is marketa mark, marjana mark. So sorry, please, I am confused. This cat process where the mother is catching the kitten, and we are depending upon the mercy and depending upon the Krishna's mercy here.
Yeah, Prabhuji, there's an old question from Chandrasekhar Prabhu. How to remove our pride and false ego?
Pride and false ego, how it will go? Yesterday we have discussed, or not yesterday, day before yesterday, we have said that this false ego is so difficult to go away because it is coming from so many lifetimes. So can somebody remember how we can get rid of this false ego? We discussed very clearly with that chart which we prepared, the 3 doers. Can somebody remember? How can we remove this false ego? If you review that, you could have got it. Anybody know? So when you take to the association of the pure devotees, then this false ego, this pride will go away. So this is all authentic. I'm not telling you based on my own interpretation or my own knowledge. This is as per the Shastra. When you start getting associated with pure devotees, the same analogy goes. When you are not a fire, but when you iron is getting in touch with the fire, the characteristics will come. So the pridelessness, that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Trunadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnuna manina manadena kirtaniya sadari. Trunadapi sunichena. So you should be like a prideless, a grass. When you stamp on it also, it doesn't really complain. So you become so prideless. So that is what it is, right? So, and also you see that when you do this holy name chanting, that also really gives you that qualities. The chanting also has that potential. But again, when you do chanting in the association of the devotees, it gives you more effect, and the results are much faster. So that's the importance of chanting as well as associating with the devotees. And one last thing, if you can also do chanting and keep Tulsi in front of you and then do your chanting, that is where your pridelessness will develop, and this pride and false ego will go away. Because Tulsi Maharani is the purest devotee. We know that, we have seen that also in the when Satyabhama was having, if you see the characters, Satyabhama was a very pride driven person. She has so much pride. And how did this pride go away? So when she wanted to do Tulaba of Krishna, she put all her whatever ornament she had, gold, she brought everything. But still Krishna was not really balancing with whatever she has put. Then when a small leaf of Tulsi was put, coming from Rukmini Mata's place, basically that Tulsi, when she kept, then equation could have come into existence, right? So similarly, we need to have devotees association. Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, and there was a question from Pawan Kumar Ganguly Prabhu that was regarding, how Aghoras have come and in which sampradaya they fall.
Aghoras, basically, these people are more or less Shiva Bhaktas. So they are praying to Shiva, and these people have developed it. But again, as we said, these people are demigod worshippers. And we will see that in this particular chapter, Krishna talks about those people who are not intelligent. They take up to demigod worship. And these Aghoras and all these people are not intelligent people. Those people who take up to Krishna consciousness are intelligent people. That is what Krishna is saying. So, and these Aghoras, they are in mode of ignorance. And to make them come out of this, it will take a lot of time. But again, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we don't have a question. One question is there from my side, Prabhuji. Today we started with our, first Bhakti Yoga, chapter from. So in this, Prabhuji, as you explained, so I just, need that if you can just give us some insight I mean, here Krishna is saying to understand Krishna in full, how we can understand Krishna in full?
So this is where we need to follow the 6-step process what Krishna is telling, and it starts with hearing only. So this faculty of hearing is very important, because this is the first faculty that is coming up when you come to this material world. Before you knew of any other senses, this hearing sense has come into existence, and we also knew that this is the last sense that leaves before you leave your body. So all starts with hearing, Tachshunu. So keep hearing, then rest of the things will follow. And you should never leave the hearing part just because you came to the other this thing. So hearing should always be there, and you should be hearing, and you will cultivate the full confidence, and knowledge will come, and shelter you will be able to take. Rest of the things will act accordingly. Okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji, just one small follow-up question. So as you said, this is a Bhakti Yoga. So will Bhakti Yoga help us to keep our mind? I mean, how the mind gets regulated, Prabhuji? Is it
right, Prabhu? In the last step, 6th step in this particular shloka, if you see, he is saying that your mind will now be attached to me. Mada ashrayaha. So your mind will now be attached to me when you follow these 5 steps. When you follow these 5 steps, finally, that is what it will happen, that your mind will be attached to Krishna. Now, right now, our mind is attached to senses, our mind is attached to sense gratification, and we are not able to really focus. And our mind is getting distracted to dhanam, janam, fame, and women, and all these things. So how do we come out of it? It all starts with hearing about Krishna. And hearing about Krishna starts with hearing the instructions of Krishna first. And that's the reason why you should not take up to other scriptures such as Bhagavatam, because we are not yet qualified to read Bhagavatam. First preliminary, if you wanted to do master's degree, you have to complete your at least your basic degree. So that is the basis, then you can go for master's degree. So your degree level is Bhagavad Gita. So you have to read Bhagavad Gita, understand it completely, try to follow that, and come to, and it is said that suppose all the literatures, all the libraries in this entire world for some reason have vanished, all the books have vanished. If only one Bhagavad Gita is there, humankind, the mankind will be saved. That's the importance of Bhagavad Gita. Just having Bhagavad Gita, see, I myself have given these classes for so many times. I'm not perfect at it, but I see that there is so much to learn. There is so much that Krishna is revealing. This is the only manual where you find that the more you read, the more I don't know, the more Krishna is trying to tell you. That's the beauty about this entire literature. And my life mission, as I was thinking loudly now also, is that how we can spread this Bhagavad Gita knowledge. Because when you are telling about Krishna, you are also imbibing, and you are constantly in touch with Krishna, and you are purifying yourself. And how I can take care of Goseva. So, and in that process only I became a Panchagavya Ayurvedic practitioner, where I give these medicines. Those who are suffering with corona or any other ailments can take up this medicine, Panchagavya medicine, which will really help. Because somebody asked Yudhishthira Maharaj, what is Amrutam in this age? What is Amrutam in this age? Yaksha Prashnas, you know that Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked by Yakshas so many questions. One of the questions was this. Then he said, Gomutra is the Amruta in this age. When you take Gomutra, so much of intelligence is there in the Gomutra that just by taking It knows what is which body organ is not working properly, and it can go and rectify. So much intelligence is there in this Gomutra. And especially the practitioner of Gomutra need not be very intelligent. Unlike your other professions, in other medical professions, the doctor should be very intelligent. Out of 3,000 products, he need to find out which medicine to give, in what condition, etc. Here in Panchagavya also, we kind of put some, you prepare around 40-50 medicines, but again, primarily it is based on Gomutra. So this Gomutra has the intelligence, and it will cure each and every element that is there in your body. So yeah, so why I am saying is this, because one has to really be focused what they want in their life. And this is what I thought for myself. I'm just speaking out loud.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Just last question, because Prabhuji, that okay, we talked about Karma Yoga, we talked about Jnana Yoga, and now we have come to this Bhakti Yoga. And Prabhuji, our consciousness out of these three, where will be our highest consciousness?
Consciousness, you need to understand what is consciousness. So consciousness is one of the characteristic of the soul is consciousness. If the soul leaves this body, there is no Chetana. Krishna consciousness means Chetana. Once the soul leaves, there is no consciousness, right? So consciousness means spiritual. You are kindling that spiritual spark which is there within yourself. So in which process you have more kindling, you are kindling that spark. Obviously, it is Bhakti Yoga, because you are directly in touch with Devan, with Krishna, in the Krishna consciousness or in the Bhakti Yoga. But in the other ways, whether it is, if you can dovetail that with Krishna, that's also good. See, in Karma Yoga, what happens is that your focus is on karma, doing the work. And you're doing the work. How am I doing the work? Is also coming, but primarily doing the work is focus. In Jnana Yoga, knowledge is the focus. In Bhakti Yoga, Krishna is the focus. You keep Krishna in the center. So that's the beauty about this. So once you are keeping Krishna in the center in whatever activity which you are doing, whether it is karma part or jnana part, in the Bhakti Yoga process, you are keeping Krishna in center, so it becomes a Bhakti Yoga, and your consciousness will be much more in that aspect, because you are in touch with Krishna. So obviously your consciousness and your spiritual spark kindling will become more, and you are able to experience that more. That spiritual consciousness means you are a spirit soul, and the actual characteristic of the spirit soul is Satchidananda. So that bliss you will be experiencing more while you are in Bhakti Marga.
Thank you.
Makes sense, Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Questions, Prabhu. I think you really brought about some things which also made me think a lot. And yeah, I'll also check out if there is any better answers for whatever I've given you so far, and we can discuss more. Thank you very much, Prabhujis and Matajis, for your wonderful participation. And can we end Raghunath Puri Prabhu then?
Prabhuji, please.
Okay. So anybody would like to volunteer to do kirtan for few short kirtan, like 3-4 times you can, any tune that you would like to. Yeah. Preeti Mataji, go ahead, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, शील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय. Thank you very much. I would expect each one of you whosoever are there should able to take the Lord's name. And by end of this course, each one of you come forward and do this ending kirtan. And we will also do one round of chanting. At least we'll start with a few times doing the japa. And then we will slowly, by end of the 18 days, we will continuously do one round of chanting going forward. So thank you once again. Be safe and see you all tomorrow. Please forgive me for my shortcomings. I may not be the best speaker. I may not be having the complete knowledge, but I am trying to improve myself. Please put me in your prayers so that I can render this service properly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare